welcome. We are so glad to have you here. So please introduce yourselves and fire on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you from my side. I will introduce myself just now. Maybe Dr. Francie, you are going to present second and actually give the bulk of the knowledge that we are going to share. So if you can quickly introduce yourself, then I will use my presentation to just provide an introduction of myself, if that's okay
Right.
with you.
That's good. Yes. Thanks, Philip. Okay, I'm Francie Cronje. I am an AI explorer at this stage, and especially with research. And I'm also an academic development editor, so I explore all kinds of stuff to do with language and collecting. So I've got master's students and a PhD student, and um, of course that is my main interest. But I also have always been interested in looking at new platforms and stuff. So I'm very much into it. Although I think I lack some time. One always lacks some time if you want to do more things of the same. But I'm going to show you. I'm going to go through the research journey step by step. And for now, I'll be putting in the chat box a few links of platforms that I'm going to work on. Please make yourselves log into them and sign up. They're all free, especially for the first version of it. So please do that so that when we play around with it together, you don't have to battle with that too. Over to you, Philip.
Thank you, Dr. Francie. Yes, from my side, this is the outline. The purpose, I'm asking the question, what's new?
Okay,
Applications, I'll
sorry,
just chat.
Philip.
Say
Just,
again.
well, okay, no, that's fine. Sorry, you can continue.
Are you okay now? Is my sound okay?
Yes, everything is fine. Thank you.
Everything is good.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll just run through and I'll tell you now why I do this, but those are the applications that I'll be looking at and sharing with you, and then just concluding with a few of my concerns. In terms of who I am, let me just say, just for interest sake, the picture at the right-hand side is also computer generated AI. I used Bing images there. So yeah, it sort of aligns with who I really am. I'm a 60-something geek and student. I love the fact that Dr. Francis said explorer. I'm also an explorer. I'm very much an early adopter, tinkerer, willing to share. My discipline is more industrial psychology, not so much education, although education has been my first love always. And I'm currently managing an online learning platform for a company, which is also a consulting company. So I also do consulting work. What I'd like to do is to maybe from the perspective of not an academic, but just let's call it a student doing research, to share with you what um, what I do, how I use it, this technology. So that's just a quick introduction. My first question, and I picked it up on a previous symposium that we had where Professor Johannes Cronje organized it, was one of those brown bag sessions where over an extended lunch we shared very quickly some stuff. Is the question, is this new? And when I say new, I mean intelligent applications. It's the basic idea of intelligent applications really something new? I don't believe it is. I think if you look at Grammarly, at White Smoke, if you look at Google, Facebook, the algorithms that they use, um, It's not really new. It's intelligent applications. And some of these applications are extremely intelligent, specifically the sophisticated algorithms that they use. And I'll just share with you one that I found fascinating, and it's very much in my line, my field of study, and that is what Cambridge, it's a beta program at Cambridge, their psychometric center. They call it Apply Magic Source. And what they do here is they take maybe even a dissertation that you wrote or an article, or even, and this is where they really get their information, is they look at all your posts on Facebook or Twitter, X now, and they analyze that. And then based on that, they develop a psychological profile for you where they then can, let's say if you're Facebook or whoever, they can start making predictions about how you will act. We all know that, you know, one of the big things of Facebook, Google, all those is what they call eyeballs. The more eyeballs they can get, the more sponsorship or advertising they can do, more money for them. And therefore, they need to find out what will interest you, where you will look, etc., etc. And this is a typical algorithm, very intelligent application that they use. And I'll just share my profile with you so you can see, and I'll just talk to it a little bit. So in a sense, how would you say, I'm exposing myself. My according to this, I downloaded my Facebook stuff, and I uploaded 782 Facebook posts, close to 35,000 words. And according to the algorithm or the application, call it what you like, the platform, my age, my psychological age is 29. Obviously, I love that. And then secondly, it says I'm a little bit more feminine. Let me say I'm not a jock, according to the analysis. Then if you look at, and this is very interesting because if for those of you who've done psychology, you will know that the research on personality instruments regard the big five personality predictors as the gold standard type of thing. Very well established, very well researched. Now there you can see in terms of conservative, liberal, I'm a little bit more liberal. I'm not impulsive. I tend to be able to work hard when needs be, not overly so. I'm very contemplative. Yes, very true. I read my life away, and also I think a lot. Competitive, not so much, but what I can tell you is I'm not a team player. So that one is maybe a little bit more, let's say, stronger than it should be. And I don't think I'm too laid back, but that's what it says. Then the second one that they use is the Jungian personality type. There they say I'm INTP. Now this is a less scientific one, but very in the industry they use it very extensively because it created a sort of a language, and people, when you say you're INTJ or whatever, people understand. So they then use this to predict. And what the point I'm making is, yes, it's been a long time coming, and I think also if you look at the research applications, not all of it is really new. So my question then is, why is this so-called generative AI suddenly so in your face? Everybody talks about it. In fact, if you go and look at the NG Church, they've got this annual synod. They even use ChatGPT to help them with some difficult questions. But then why? And my contention is that it's because it's sentient. It's almost like you talking to a human being. And to make it very practical, think about it. You always ask, please do this for me. And the response from your prompt is always, well, certainly I will do it. So it's like you're talking to a human being. And that is why I believe the adoption rate for this kind of new technology is so high. And I'll just share this with you quickly. If you look at ChatGPT, took 5 days to reach 1 million users. Forget about threads. It was bolted onto Instagram, so you cannot really regard that 1 hour as significant. But if you look, for instance, Netflix, adoption rate 3.5 years. Those two are not really social. Twitter 2 years. If you look at Facebook, 10 months. Dropbox, if you look at Spotify. So it is because this technology is accessible and you feel that you can use it. And that is why it became so popular. That's my contention. So the next question is then, how do we use it? How do I use it as call it a student, a graduate student? And I'll just go through it with you. First of all, I'm doing research on talent management because I do research in the area of industrial psychology, and where I really started, thanks to Prof. Johannes and Dr. Francie and their wonderful support group, I started using Harzing purely because from Harzing I could pick up all the relevant articles that I know that are well referenced, that I use, that are credible. I initially downloaded 140 articles. I cut it down to 100 so that I can do my research. There you can see on the top there the terms that I used, and this is some of the articles. So now I had about 140 articles, and then I went into a paid application, Lateral.io. I'm still using it. It is one of the few paid ones that I do use because I regard it as a fantastic application. And there on the left-hand side, all I did was I uploaded all those PDFs onto Lateral. So now I had all my sort of articles, well-referenced, peer-reviewed, onto one database. And now I could start doing things with it. So what I did then, and this is also an application that I only started using later on, but I mean, I cannot tell you how useful it is for me. Initially, I jumped into Voyant. I think Dr. Francie will talk to Voyant later on, but for me, this one was a good one so that I could also be ethical in terms of eventually not using ChatGPT just to generate stuff for me. So SciSpace basically analyzes your articles. You upload it, you can ask it a set of questions. It has a set of standard questions. And the questions I basically ask, give me a bit of a summary, what literature was used, method and data, results. And it's all a summary, and it gives you, again, in a very, let's say, consumable format. What are the applications? That's more for the practitioners. How can this information be applied? And then what contribution does it make from a theoretical point of view? How do we serve, or does this information serve the, let's say, the academic fraternity? And then if there are any limitations, what the limitations are. So then once I've done that, I then populated this note side, all of this, with that. But I did it after I downloaded it onto my iPad, and I scanned through all these articles, all that summaries and stuff, because I needed to get to grips at some stage with this material, and that was the entry for me. But now what I had is I had good database, well referenced, and I had summaries for my literature study, and in fact, the whole proposal. Here's my download, and here you can see how I highlighted it on my iPad to just get a feel for what this field is like, where the bulk of the research is, but also very important to build up a bit of a schema. I think that's the right word, but let's say a framework of, what do I need to, where do I need to go and search further? So once I've done that, I then build my little framework. And I'll just go through it very quickly. I know that you are not, this is not your area of interest, but just to show you what I came up with. Obviously, you always start with context because it tells you why it's important, and then you start trying to define. And there the question, talent management is, how do we look at this? Are we talking about giftedness? Is it innate, fixed, or is it potential that can be developed? Just for interest's sake, the first discussions in this regard, literature-wise, is in the educational field, where you look at giftedness in children and things like that. And then when you look at organizations, for both of those, you then say, well, are we regarding everybody as talented, or do we regard people, a specific group? Is it inclusive, exclusive? And then you come to a basic philosophy, and then you can start saying, what does talent mean for us? And also, what must the subject view is, what must people who are talented, what do they have? And then you go through the specific processes. That's just classical HR. And then you say, okay, this micro level, but it plays an important role. For instance, if you affirm people, does it improve their engagement? How does it impact retention? All that nonsense. So now I had a framework. That framework again helped me to now go and do what in lateral, a super search. And from the articles, I could then pick up things that relate to that and populate my whole matrix of information, which will later on inform my literature study. But also, I can tell you now the rest. So that's what I did. That's finished. And this I did not initially do. Let me just see. Yes, I did a super search for those themes. It helped me to define the themes as per my little schema. And then I did a super search to get to populating this and populating my whole sort of study, but only through very specific elements of those articles. And then, and this is something I initially didn't do. So the next screen grab that you will see is not real. It was actually before I did this. But very recently, I then discovered that GPT Plus can now read diagrams and stuff. And so what I did was I then put this little diagram into ChatGPT, and this is a little clip, if you will bear with me, where I ask GPT specific questions. Well, actually just one, but I'll just talk you through the result. Okay, I hope you can see this because I can't. But basically, I'm asking GPT to consider that little picture or graphic, and then to give me an outline for a literature study. And you will see now what happens. And I'll just very briefly, I know again, it's not your discipline, but it will make the point. Okay, I enter it. It's a little bit long-winded. Upload the image. Took a while to upload. And now it gave me a very sound outline. I'll just point out to one or two mistakes that it made. I won't show you the whole response, but just so you get an idea. Brief overview of the topic, that's stock standard. Importance of understanding context. Yes, that's nothing new for academic. Contextual understanding, historical. Influences from past theories. Labor market, very important for talent management. And then inflection points. That is your COVID and your 2008 global financial crisis. And then I go into definition, the whole idea of innate versus potentialities. And here it has a bit of a hiccup, but not major, in that it misinterpreted the little graphic object versus subject. It said basically the object view is what does talent mean for the organization, and it says here from the individual's perspective, it's not real. It is still the organization, but what people must have to be regarded. And so it goes on. So the bottom line is, I was able to get an outline from that graphic that could aid my literature study. Now, I didn't do it that way because that functionality only came in about 3 days before I had to, or a week before I had to do this presentation. But the bottom line is the point is made. What I also then did then is to use ChatGPT to help me with grammar and spelling. I still find it, I know there are better applications. Often they are, let me say, paid, and one is always a little bit hesitant to use paid applications. It's getting quite expensive, but I think it's okay. I can string sentences together, evaluate them, and then put them into Scrivener. I use Scrivener to write my research. So that is how I use all these applications. Very briefly, it's certainly not all. There's such a proliferation of these that one almost can't keep tabs on it all. What are the concerns that I have? That's the last little bit from my presentation. Is first of all, obviously, ChatGPT, which I do believe that ChatGPT is a great assistant. I use the paid version, but we all accept that it's trained up to January 2022. I still get hallucinations, but far less, and I'll just share with you a classic one, not my own. And then bias. Bias is something that we all have to be careful of. Let me just say this. I am a great Formula One fan, so just to illustrate the point, I asked GPT the Formula One winners in chronological order, and there you can see it immediately tells me it can only update until 2022 January. So yeah, it has that limitation. The other one is hallucination, making mistakes. This is a classical one. I didn't come up with this, but it really happened. Is in one of the older versions of ChatGPT, they asked who was the sole survivor of the Titanic, and it made the mistake of giving a name. Now, the fact of the matter is 700 people survived the Titanic sinking. And I, in fact, in preparation for this, I did ask the same question, and it immediately corrected me. So it is being trained as it being used. And I think over time, hopefully, it will not go down. It won't be derogate, and that it will improve. The last one is the one that really concerns me. There's a wonderful article from Bloomberg, and what they did is they used Stable Diffusion to create 5,100 images of AI generated people, so not real people. They allocated job categories, professional designations to them, and then obviously they said there are 2 genders, etc., etc. They then went on and they analyzed the responses of Stable Diffusion based on the Fitzpatrick skin scale, lighter to darker skin color. And this is pretty much, and this is just a snapshot, but this is roughly what it looks like. If you look at higher end paid jobs, you will see that there is a heck of a dominance of lighter skin. When you go to the, let's say, lower paid jobs, but also more menial, not always. Social worker is everything, but teacher also not. But you see then there, the skin color becomes darker. So there is definitely a bias built into the system by the way these models or large language models are being trained. If you look at male, female, same thing. Architect, lawyer, the light green is female, dark green male, and there you can see that there's an absolute overemphasis on males. If you go and look at job categories, then it is exactly the same. This is just a little screen clip. It's not the whole population that I have done, but here you can also see for CEO, nearly 90% lighter skin males, 94%, males only 5% women. And if you then go to the lower level jobs, you see just the inverse. There you can see, you don't even have to talk about it, but you can see it. It's one of those things, it jumps at you. Yeah, so at the end of the day, how do you combat all of this? How do you get the best out of any of these AIs, and specifically ChatGPT, because I believe garbage in, garbage out, and that is prompt engineering. And I've got a whole, I wrote a book for HR and change practitioners on this exact thing, because I think that is the way that we can really make these applications work for us and not us working for them. So that's my input. Thank you.
Thanks, Philip. All right, so I'm going to share mine. Share screen. Should be able, there you go. Right. I'm not taking my presentation into full screen because I'm going to toggle all the way through all those little ears I've got open there. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Good. Okay. All right. So I'm just opening my chat box here so I can see if you are talking to me. Right now, I think I'm settled. So what I'm going to do is actually tag on to what Philip's been saying, and we're going to get our hands dirty a little bit. I posted a few links there to platforms. Can you all see them? And could you get into them? Just give me a some kind of a yes. Good. Okay, so it works. Great, because then we don't have to waste time when we get there. Right, so as we all know by now, AI is not new. We've been working with it for many years with all our grammar platforms and the Mendeley and references and all those. So I'm not going to waste time on that. I'm going to show you some new platforms, and if I find something or start showing something that you haven't seen before, or that you're working with regularly, please feel free to chip in if you see I'm not showing something that might be important or exciting for people to use. I'm going to ask every now and again, we'll go and play a little bit on our own for 5 minutes so that you can get your fingers dirty into a certain platform, and then we'll move on to the next, and I'll show you what I'm doing with it. Just little tricks that collecting. Okay, so I'll be sort of skimming through the whole research journey from the literature search right through to conceptually thinking conceptually with images and graphs and flowcharts. I'm including that because I think people still have this idea that your final submission, your final paper or thesis or dissertation needs to be for it to be academic. It needs to look dry and official, which I think is a wrong perception. Most supervisors and external examiners love to see some simulations in images and explanations, and to actually see that people are really excited about their output. And that's why I think one should do a lot of should go into a lot of trouble doing that kind of thing. So let's start with the literature search. As Philip said, and when I did my PhD, I was still working on paper, and I had a whole wall full of printed out articles stacked up to the ceiling about as we all had at that stage. And then when you wanted to find it again, you sort of look for all the green tabs and you would take out all those, and then you need to go and look for the stuff that you underlined or highlighted and so on. And after a while, it either becomes very uninteresting for you or you just get very overwhelmed. So this type of AI really changed my life. Firstly, to make your life easy, I suggest that you take. Yes, it was very messy, Karen. It was so messy, and your stuff all get dog-eared, and you just have to overtype everything, and it's just terrible. So to make your life easy, I'm a great believer in little ears that flip open when you're looking for something, some plugins like this open access button is a little ear that will sort of feature on the side of your, whenever you open the first page of an article that you've searched, you can immediately see if it's in a closed source, that will pop up on the side to tell you that there's another place that you can go and find it for free. I find it very nice if you don't necessarily want to go to the library all the time, and then you just click on it and you can see a whole list of places where it's for free. Unpaywall works in the same way, just on a more wider basis. And then, of course, Grammarly does the same thing within your text. And these days, you can also sort of integrate it into your writing when you do emails and all kinds of stuff. So I'm not going to go into those in depth. Let's pause at insightful. Please give me a hand or a yes or a no whether you've worked with insightful. Who of you have worked with insightful? No? A little, says Karen. Elise, you say you've got no knowledge of it. Okay. Anybody else who's worked with it? Not yet. Okay. So this was, for me, it's sort of mind-blowing. Let's go to Insightful. Now, Insightful is a very useful tool because you don't even have to log in or sign up or anything. It's just open. So I searched for this specific, let's just Give me some kind of topic in the chat what I quickly can search. Shall I do online learning? Collaborative learning online. Okay, let's see what it does. Right, there we have all suggestions from and let's look at something that's more recent, 2010, 2000. Of course, there are lots of it. So let's just take the first one, collaborative learning online. And it shows me immediately that it's not open access. I always look at that first. It's been cited by 71 people, and there's a graph. So I open the graph, and it looks like this. So the darker it is, the more recent the paper is. We'll go back to that later on, or you can go and explore it when you do your own one. Then it's got then you can also, of course, just refine your search there, and you find similar papers, and you can toggle between the year published or the numbers cited by and the similarity to what you're asking, and so on. Then you get the most important papers. These are according to PageRank, the number of times it's been cited, and also the published years. So I can, since this paper itself is relatively old, it only shows up till 2010. So that's the most important papers up to 2010. Then you've got review papers, which we always find handy. And there you've got the same toggles. And most important recent papers, and then the recent papers by the top 100 authors. And then this is really mind-blowing for me. You've got the top authors in the specific fields, and of course John Biggs would be first there. Total page rank, and interesting enough, he didn't write as many papers as Michael Hanifin, but he's still way above in the total page rank, and we all know why, because everyone knows about John Biggs. Then upcoming authors, there you've got a list of them, and if you click on any one of those, you find a list of their papers. So there you find upcoming authors. Let's just look at the number of papers, total page rank. Let's look at Rupert Wegerer. He's only got 2 papers, but it seems like it's important. Institutions, really focusing on this. Top journals and similar journals. And there you've got quite a nice overview of this topic that you've now. You can search either by DOI or a paper title, or author, or just a keyword. So it's actually very, very wide. So let's go to a little bit of an exercise for you to play with this. Shall we have about 5 minutes? Then we come back, and if you found something really exciting, you can show me or tell us about it. All right. Any feedback? Any questions? Right, then I'll leave you alone for a few minutes. Oh, Philip.
Dr. Francie, just a quick question. As I've indicated, I used Harsing, but this looks like a far more refined type of search. Would
Yes.
you say, yes, would you say this is the not the better one, but this is a far more refined, specific one where you can get to the real essence of the topics that you're researching?
Yes, I find this platform sort of housing on steroids because you can really drill down and you've got your visual spidergrams and you've got
Mm,
all kinds of yeah, you can really and you can also, something I haven't shown while I was on it, you can actually collect, you can sort of go into a paper, you can add it there, and then you can add, and you can basically build your own literature review. You say add to lit review, and then it automatically, and then you can download those papers, the list of that literature review.
okay. Thank you.
The-
Thank you for that. Yeah. Thank you.
okay.
Hi, Francie. Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
So I'm playing with it and I'm putting in like primary school teaching or primary learning and the options are just so limited in terms of not like higher education. How would you do the wording to find it? I've looked at technology, interactive technologies. I've looked at technologies. Then I looked at response systems, and the options just seem so minimal. And when you go to site, one, they're very old. So and then two, the option. So for example, it's like from 1990s and like the latest is like 2014. Or the option is things have only been cited once or twice. So it's really weird in terms of, I suppose, schooling is what
Yeah.
a primary schooling. Yeah. So
So
I suppose that's interesting in terms of what's coming up.
yes, that's very interesting. And you know what I would do? Go and look it up on Google first, Google Scholar, and find a specific one that's more recent and that you're interested in, and use that title to
Put
search.
in. Okay, that's a great idea. Thank you, thank you.
Okay. Yes, you can search for two topics, but Elise, I think it would serve you better to search for one at a time and make um, uh, um, two literature reference lists, bibliographies, and then combine it. I'll show you some tools a bit later on how you can combine it. It's a good question. What's also useful is, Karen, if you use the keywords in an article that you find really useful, and search those keywords one by one.
That makes sense too. Yes, yes. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I'm just clicking along here, just a few of them to see where my lit review would emerge. And I see they've got a new Zotero plugin as well, which is nice to know. Okay, so any feedback? What do you think of this? Anybody finding? Yeah, it's a nice tool. Thanks, Monica. So you can export these papers. So there you've got a nice tool, and then you can export your seed papers, and there you've got another list. If you look at all your seed papers, it suggests another list for you, after they've sort of seen how you refine your research, your interest there. Okay, so shall we go on to the next one? Okay, so I'm not going to hover over these. We all know reference tools and so on. So, but here is a nice list of reference management software that you can sort of go to later on if you want to. The next one, I think I want to go to summarizing articles. Any of you have worked with Chat PDF yet? Yes or no? No. This is actually quite new. This just blew my mind. Right, let's go. Okay, great. Right. It looks like this. I've now added a few, and it's literally as easy as dragging and dropping your PDFs there, or browsing computer. Let's just open one of these. Okay, this one is a bit... Okay, this is a useful one to do. So there you've got your article or your PDF that you've just inputted. And, oh yes, Lisa, did you use it? Yes. So immediately it gives you a little standard answer there. Welcome to the specific reviews. Here are some standard example questions you can ask me about the article, or you can also ask your own question. And of course, this is let's ask it to summarize. So what I've asked it without knowing it's got it. So please provide me with the title, or okay, I'm going to you see it didn't give me with the key concepts. So I confused it because I asked to summarize this article or paper, and then it didn't refer back to the paper that it's actually looking at. So, but here is, you can actually ask anything apart from these questions that it's got there. Let's ask it again. What are the key comments? Oh, no, man. No, it didn't do that. Okay, so maybe it's because it's a very short one-pager. But so let's play a little bit on your side with this, and we'll see how you manage when you ask questions for it. Have you got the URL in the? It's the one on top there, chatpdf.com. Let me know if you're in. Okay. Anybody shout if they can't get in or haven't signed up or having some trouble? Literally just drag and drop one article or a PDF in there. Yes, it does. It's amazing. It speaks. I've also dragged in a. Yes, it is more flexible than SciSpace. I actually put that down here while you were talking, Philip, about the chat PDF is also SciSpace on steroids. These things update so quickly. It's just amazing to see. I submitted something in Afrikaans and actually also answered my questions. New chat. I'm trying to see what Litmaps told us. Karen, that article you also read this morning, the new one.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Andrew, I think it's quite a lot of PDF uploads on the free version, but it should be under pricing. You'll find it in their small print. I usually for things like this, I subscribe for a month, and if I see I really like it and I really use it, then I subscribe for a year because it's much cheaper then. Oh yes, ChatPDF allows. Okay, there you've got it. Thanks, Andrew. For free with 2 PDFs every day, each up to 120 pages. Fantastic. Right. I do not have the capability to access or view uploaded files. Please provide me with the text or a link to the article you want me to summarize. What did you upload, Elise? Was it a PDF? Because I've never. That's very strange. That is, I haven't encountered that yet. Did you drag and drop it, or did you just searched it? Maybe it's on your browser. I agree, it could be. That's interesting. I'll tell you what. I'll look out for that. Here is my email address, and just drop me a line, and I will look into that and give you an answer as soon as I can attend to it. There's my email. Because this is strange. I've never seen it not taking a PDF. Any comments on this? Yes, yes, it's nice. Their suggestions are really good. So yeah, I love this. This is new. This is new for me. I think it came out very recently. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. I'm not going to touch on these. We all know different tools, how to summarize and get an abstract from. I'll later just look at Writeful because there's some capabilities in Writeful that I really like. But let's move on to Cite. Who's used Cite before? Anybody use Cite? Okay, right. So Cite is also one of my personal favorites. It's, of course, when you sign, if you have to sign in, and then you've got a history of everything that you've done before. So I made a little experiment yesterday. I asked ChatGPT and Bard and u.com assistant to give me the major international events that occurred in 1961, my birth year. And between ChatGPT and, let me just get to ChatGPT. There it is. It gave me a whole list of things: the Bay of Pigs, the Berlin Wall, the resolution about ongoing concerns and criticism relating apartheid system, Antarctic Treaty, Algerian War, Congo crisis, Cuban Missile Crisis, and so on. So I asked the same thing for Bard, and it gave me key world events. It actually now jumped the gun here. I wanted to give me, there you go. No. Anyway, so I asked them the key world events. No, it's not giving me my previous. So I asked that too, and it gave me human spaceflight. And then I asked it to put it in a table like this. That's why it's like this. And I asked it to put the dates in different columns and also the field there. This is something you can do with any of your articles as well, when you've put it together in Cite and Insightful and Lateral. But I'll show you Lateral just now. It's very exciting. So this is nice. Aside, before we go on again to the one I showed you just now, Cite. From Bard, you can export it to Sheets, and then you find a nice, neat spreadsheet like that, which is also nice. Okay, but let's go back to Cite. The nice thing about Cite is that it also has a plugin, so you also get a little knobby here on the one side, and I'll show you now what it looks like. But I asked it the same question, and it immediately gave me not only references for it, but academic events that happened, and not just the standard news events. So, and it also gives you, after every answer, it gives you a little concluding paragraph. Yes, it is useful to add sheets, definitely, because it's much much better to be able to combine your sheets into one. So as you can see there, they talk about the World Meteorological Organization, the start of that, the Great Chinese Famine, which none of the others mentioned, and then of course the first one, the International Brain Research Organization, that was initiated during that time. And then I asked for it to give me the most prominent technological inventions of 61, and it gave me the development of a laser disc and mRNA cracked the genetic code that were announced in the same year. Breathalyzers were invented in that year, and so on. When I asked, let's go back to ChatGPT, it gave me first, oh yes, the space exploration, Apollo program announcement. Oh yes, the technological advances, transatlantic laser communication, Boeing 707. So it's a totally different slant to what the useful dates are in more depth. And of course, you can then ask it to put it in tables for you. I really find Cite very, very useful, and I'll show you now why. So in everyone, when you open any article ever, also from Google Scholar or anywhere, you get, let me just, you see there, you see the little key there at the bottom, and it shows you what the number of publications citing this work, number of supporting citation statements, number of mentioning citation statements, and number of contrasting citation statements. So when you open the full text, it will give you that same key on the right-hand side there. And it shows up in any article that you open in your browser because it's a browser plugin. So that's quite nice. Let me just get to my. So let me just get to Cite. So would you like to go in there and get some? There's on the introductory site. There's a way that you can install the plugin on your own browser. So once you've played around with this, let me know in the chat. It is a liar, though. I asked about my contributions, came back with many lies. Oh, that's cute. Once again, the thing that you mustn't believe anything that, or everything that AI tells you. Which one did you ask? Cite? Monica?
Yeah, I asked about my contributions to research in online learning, and I should use this as a CV because I have contributed so much, you know, and they have sources for all this, and I never heard about these persons.
Oh, that's very cute. So you can always say, but that's what the CV says when I opened it on site. You can, I
Yeah.
mean, it's
Exactly, but none of it is true, and I think it has missed anything I have ever written in this topic.
that's very cute.
Yeah. It was
So
quite fun.
if you look at the platform so far, give me an indication in the chat, which one really stands out for you. Which one would you say would be your first choice of use for its own purpose?
I think that PDF chat was fantastic.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, chat PDF, yeah, fantastic.
Yes, Philip. We'll get to insightful now because that makes it insightful. I'm just going to show one thing on insightful more than what you showed, and then yeah, we'll move on from that one. But it's insightful is also one of my go-tos. Anybody else? Okay, so let's move on to Perplexity. Who of you have worked with Perplexity? Insightful is useful, but I think it will take a little practice. Yes, it does take a little practice, but it's much worth it, I must say. Right. Mariana, are you saying that you've worked with Perplexity? That's great. Anybody else who's worked with Perplexity? Okay, let's go there. So I've already built up my little library with all the threads I asked. So there is your library. And you can start with Discover. Let's just take, oh, this is a nice question. What is tutorial hell? You can ask anything, of course. And I see ChatGPT answered this one. And then it actually added all references for the statements in Perplexity and how to that's very interesting. Okay, let me go to my library because there's actually what are the most prominent? Oh yes, that's also what I asked them, prominent events, and it gave me a nice list, a bit more in depth than ChatGPT, I should say, with references. And then I asked the technological inventions, and it gave me others that I couldn't get in the other platforms, like cordless power tools, compact audio cassette tape system. The IBM introduced this electric typewriter. So it's a little bit more technical and definitely more in depth than the others. And it gave me 2 pictures. And then I asked for a table. It gave me the table, but it didn't want to give me a colorful flow diagram. It said, no, I can't. I'm not up to that. Mariana, you say I compare answers generated by ChatGPT against Perplexity and vice versa. Yes, that's an interesting exercise. And I think if we go to our lectures, then if we teach critical thinking, for instance, or have to teach any student critical thinking, I think this is a nice way to triangulate, to teach them how to triangulate between things, because you can ask these engines the same thing, and you get quite different answers. So what I've done a while ago is I've taken all 4 engines, their answers to questions like this, and then made a whole condensed table of all the different answers that you get, and it actually gives you a very nice overview. Anybody who's got some comments about Perplexity? Yes, it is GPT based with references, so it's a little bit
Yeah.
more.
Prof. Fancy, what I like about this is if you click on the references,
Yes.
you can actually check if the references are bona fide.
Yeah.
And if it takes you to an article or something like this, you then can go into their literature review
Yes.
and expand further. So
Yes.
for teaching students how to review content and critical thinking and expand on their own thinking.
Excellent.
Give
Yes.
them
Absolutely.
tasks like this, where ChatGPT, if you ask it to give you references, it doesn't go into this depth, and that's what I like about
No.
Perplexity.
No.
So that is something that I picked up here. So this is for me a better teaching tool with regards
Yes.
to doing that. Thanks.
And you can make it fun, you know. I mean, you can make some competitions between groups to find out
Yeah.
exactly what they found out, and then later on, especially for this one, if you make a timeline, if you want to make a timeline for something, I don't know if you have ever seen Time Toast. I find if you show, or if you make a last step of the student's assessment journey just a little bit more exciting, then they, they're also more interested in what they're doing. So this tool is actually you insert, you start a dashboard, and you start a timeline, and then you say, okay, I've got it. And this works well with something like that if you're looking at a specific year and inventions. Then you say, you add a tag, and you say January this and this and this. I'm showing you some, and then you can actually build a whole timeline. I'll show you what some examples look like that. And the student can import any PDF in there that you can click on when you open it, or and a picture and some description. So it's very versatile. You can ask them to make a whole timeline of some exploration that you get.
This will be wonderful for our practical modules, where work placements and stuff, where they must put in their evidence.
Yes, yes. And I mean, you can quickly see if they copied it from another student, or
Yes.
I mean, it needs to be their own work, otherwise it's not.
And also for portfolio of evidence, they can pop it in there for us.
You can make a whole portfolio of evidence in this,
Yeah.
and this is just so interesting. It's never
Oh.
boring. You can, I mean, it's so versatile.
Oh, thanks, bro.
And I think you have two timelines free, so you can always delete the previous one if you don't want it anymore. And yeah, I think 2 is, and you can also download it. So if you got rid of one, then you've got place for some more again.
Yeah.
This is
Thanks.
just this
Very
side.
nice.
Okay, so perplexity, also one of my favorites. Then let's just go to lateral because I want to show you some extra stuff that Philip didn't have time to show you, but I'm sure, Philip, you also use it. I've got quite a lot of different tags that I made. Let's just open this one. No, I haven't got anything there yet. This one I've been working with a while. So what you do is you go for you import your papers, and then you can do a super search for specific terms that you're looking for. Karen, I think maybe this also answers your question about insightful just now. That you can search for a certain, let's search for student satisfaction. Let's just see what it comes up with. Okay, so it gives me, oh, and you make, you add concepts as you go along. So if you look at the table view, I added the concepts, the keywords I'm looking for: lecturer, reflections, confidence, all those. And you can add a concept easily. And there's a concept that I've added, and I think it's right at the end now. And then, of course, you can shift it up and you can color code it until the most important ones are right in front, and then you can make notes in there. So if you then search for, look at a certain, you can open the document view, and then as you go along, you can sort of highlight things and put it into your concepts as you saved it. And you can do a super search by searching across all of the documents into a certain thing. And there you've got your table view, and you can also search for more documents of the same type if you're looking for a specific thing. Then you can export it, and this is very exciting for me, as a bibliography, a Word bibliography or a text bibliography. Sorry, I just need to unmute the dogs. You can, I've done it already, so let me show you what it looks like. This is, I exported it as, oh yes, this is, I exported the whole table, and then it looks like this. Then it's very easy to work with, to also incorporate it in other tables that you've got. And then if you, let me just get my bibliography. This is what my bibliography looked like that I exported from one of these. But now I see, this is very small for you, I'm sure. Let me just enlarge it. So there's my bibliography, and I see, oh shoot, it's not in a reference format that I like. So I just go and copy it and put it in, which one did I put it in last time? I think assistant would do it. To APA format. see if it does it for me. Yes. So this is site now. And it first gives you a few details on its searches, how to do APA format. And there it creates the references in APA format. And I think I'm at the end of the workshop, eh? I think I am overstaying my welcome. So you've got this idea. The workshop was supposed to be till 3, hey?
Yes, that's
Anybody?
right.
Yes. Okay, we're nearly done. I'm going to ask Marie to just publish this for you. I've got lots more to show, but I won't go. But please contact me with my email address is francie.cronje@gmail.com. Let me put it in here. And I am willing to help anybody who needs it. There you go. And thank you very much. Sorry I went over time. I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, Francie. It was
Sorry,
really.
I was carried away.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It is really very insightful. Thank you so much. I just want to remind our participants to just remember to enter for our lucky draw. The link that you can enter with is in the chats, and then also for the Pelego giveaway. That's quite a big prize that you can win there if you just write a few words, motivation, to say why you and 50 students must get this prize from Pelego. And then you're welcome to join us in the Kumo space for our bingo also tonight. We're going to have a nice activity there as well. Thank you so much for joining this, and we will share then your presentation also, Francie. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone. Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.